The moulding and the tooling
Pretty
is
full on.
actually really nice. Welcome back, guys. Episode 2
People.
of the Tamiya Top Force Lewis Sola Tribute Edition build. It's
Edition
getting longer
build.
and longer.
Yeah, we keep giving it subtitles.
I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be like this big. Nah, welcome back. So, episode 1, we did the rear box. We did some ball diffs. We got a bit of rear shock tower and turnbuckles.
Yep.
Let's keep motoring on through it and see what we can do.
And for the record, I was never one to go step by step. I just pull everything out and then start slapping it together. Like I look through instructions and go, oh, look, the unis are here. I'll build the unis, and then I might go back to putting the and then build the arms or whatever. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to try to stick to the schedule as much as we can,
The
because
instructions.
in case that somebody can't get to sleep or something, wants to watch our video.
Well, they can use this as a guide.
Absolutely.
No?
Instead of counting sheep, you can count shock tower screws.
Well, they could just be Top Force Evo ball diff.
Yep.
They can just Google it. Boom. There you are.
There you go.
With Sola.
Yeah.
No? Let's get stuck into it.
Okay, so we need to put the balls into the end. Now, some manufacturers will have one side that's bigger than the other. This one I can't really see any difference. So I'm going to just assume that they're both the same. I'm going to use these pliers, yeah? Oh, you can...
You want these?
Now you can see.
These MFTs, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Multi-function tool.
Okay, so with these,
Just pop
what we do is we
Clamp it in there.
clamp it in like so.
And, oh, look at that.
Look at that. How good's that?
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the little things in life, mate.
It is.
I dream about tools
Or we
like
can
that.
do it the old school way.
And pachoo.
So yeah, but they are nice. They're very nice.
These are soft jaws. We'll use these later when we do the shocks.
Yeah, and you can also use them to do your turnbuckles, or they're a great thing.
We'll do
like
we'll do some shocks after.
I like
it. As if you don't have soft jaw pliers in your arsenal.
Okay, so this needs to be offered to the back of this. Now,
come on the mat, mate. People can't see if you're off the mat.
I'll tell you something.
Get in tight like a tiger.
So here they're going to be using, I'm going to take a stab and say they're going to use M3 by
M3 by 12.
By 12 and a washer.
2 washers.
One on each screw.
So they're using a spring washer.
A spring washer.
And they're using a flat washer.
A spring washer on plastic. That's interesting.
In self-tapper.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, that's... Alright, so I'll tell you a little story about that.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you actually look at the whole scheme of things, and this is something that we used to have to do back then that we don't need to do so much now, because everything's all CAD designed. So CAD design, they're allowed to look at stresses and stuff. Now, if you think of this, the whole car, the whole weight of the suspension is on those 2 screws.
Yep.
So when you land off a jump, anything, the only thing that's holding that shock tower to that gearbox is those 2 screws.
Yep.
So what I would do with my one is I would run a screw similar to that from the back this way.
Put a big nut on it, huh?
And then put a big washer on it. So then 2 things could happen. One, it had more support if you did actually roll and hit that. And 2, because you had a bit of plastic there, it's sort of the threaded, right, using a machine thread rather than a self-tapper, you didn't disturb the plastic as much, so you had more holding tension. So that's a little trick that I used to do. The guys now, what they actually do is they still run this way.
Yep.
But they run from this hole here. I'll put it here. From this hole here, they draw a hole in the side of the shock tower, and they actually run like a turnbuckle.
Yep.
Diagonally across to the shock tower.
Like a brace.
Like a brace, yeah, to stop it moving. And there's a guy online who actually makes a aluminium rear cover for these.
Yeah.
And the aluminium rear cover's got a standoff that goes up here and then goes through the cover. So then you end up having 6 screws holding that whole area. So again, CAD design, long way.
A long way from
what it used to be back in 1992.
But the track demands and the power demands now are a lot different than what they were. And I think that's probably the biggest change that the car has to cope with.
Yeah.
You know?
In 1991, 92, all we had was like little drop-offs.
And we had hard tyres.
Hard tyres.
So they didn't offer a lot of grip that we have towards
and
today.
Generally a loose surface.
And nowhere near as much grunt. Nowhere near as much.
No.
Half. I'd say even the fastest ones would be half as much grunt.
Yeah. So you probably notice I didn't put grease on this one because I want to feel exactly this thing going in and biting, because I want to feel that.
You don't want to strip it.
Spring washer. Yeah, I don't want to strip this.
That'd suck.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Hardcore.
I can hear you feeling. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. I'm not convinced. Definitely the right screws.
Definitely the right screws.
Yeah.
3x12s.
Yeah. Just have a look how far they stick out through the top of the...
They definitely stick through, don't they?
Yep. So yeah, that's as much. You can't get any more than that in. You want to get a feeling?
I'm going to get a feeling. I want to redo this bit. We put the wrong screws in.
Do you reckon?
We did.
Why?
That's machine thread.
So why would they give you those same... Are you sure it's a machine screw?
That's what I said. Doesn't show it really, but it's...
Yeah, right.
Let's see if we've disturbed the
I
force.
mean, one thing's for me to use a machine screw.
Put a nub in the back of it. Torque it out.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a sucker.
You reckon? Yeah, well, you won't destroy it. It'll just go...
My screwdriver's worn. What do you reckon?
Oh, it's horrible.
Isn't it? It's only done like 3 kits.
There you go.
And I bought this one because it's
the actual Tamiya.
Tamiya one. No? Because you know what it's like, these screws. They just
Yeah, I know, they've got a weird
profile, huh?
Yeah.
And I don't care even if it's snap on, like it's not the right Phillips head. The gist is just not the right. I bought this screwdriver after I did my frog. Because the frog was, you know what I mean? That's really hard plastics and like
you can't get
really aggressive.
Yeah.
Really aggressive screws.
An aggressive screwdriver.
Oh, you should have seen the moustache that day. I was in the right state. Alright, so I'm just having a little bit of a feel here to see what Lewis is on about. I'm just going to squeeze it. Oh, just squeeze it. Oh, do you like it? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way that it didn't put any lube on there, and you can just feel it
when it gets hard. Yeah.
There we go.
Done.
Look at that.
Shock tower on.
Drive
Next step,
shafts.
drive shafts. Okay, well these are fairly straightforward. Let's move this.
You say that, but a lot of people will struggle. Well, will struggle, have struggled in the past. The grub screws often fall out on people, don't they?
Yep.
They don't service and pay enough attention to them. In my personal point of view.
I'm just going to move these.
I love a well-serviced drive shaft. These are CVs. What does CV stand for?
Constant velocity. And if you don't know what that is, have a look on YouTube. You will find videos on the subject.
Of?
Constant velocity.
As opposed to universal, which has power phases.
Exactly.
Is that what we're talking
speed
about?
Up and slow down. Speed up and slow
Where's
down.
the? Oh, there's the grub screws. I was all out of sorts. So I'm just going to start by putting a little bit of Loctite onto the grub screw that goes in the barrel. Now I've got a few, that's O-ring grease. I've got lithium grease, that's my preferred lube of choice.
I like lithium because it's clean.
It is clean, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
Are you just dipping the whole show in there for me?
No, just get a little bit in there.
And press it in.
Press it in, yeah.
People do not pay enough attention to their drive shafts, even in the modern day. And especially when you're running off-road, like, unfortunately it's just part and parcel, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you don't, they just wear faster, they bind your suspension, they really do make a lot of difference.
So it's got a nice coating there.
Yep.
Oop.
We're just throwing it around. Ooh, we had an uncomfortable touch then. And then I put my finger here, and I press it in, and it should, oh yeah, look at that, squeezes everywhere. So next step for me is going ahead and putting this Loctited grub screw in, getting it started like so, spinning the barrel around so I can see the hole, and then generally I'll put a little bit in here too, just to make sure that the pin, more than anything, has a little bit of lubrication. Now Tamiya have done something really nice, and they've given us 4 holes. Now what's nice about 4 holes?
2 of them are access.
2 of them are access?
One of them is access.
Well, I was going to say that they actually leave for when wear and tear, because the pin does wear and tear in there, doesn't it?
You can go to the next hole.
You can go to the next hole. So effectively it gives you twice as long. But I'm struggling here, because I didn't line up my pin properly. Even better than lining up my pin properly, I've overdone my
grub screw
a little bit. There we go. Get that done. Get the pin in the middle, and I can feel that with my finger, and then go ahead and do that one up. And then I'll wipe off all the excess from the outside, and we know that internally, oh,
yeah,
that is a good little drive shaft. I'm pretty happy with that, Lewis.
That's not bad.
It's not the best drive shaft I've done, but it's far from the worst.
That's good.
And what you need to remember is to service them, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's a matter of taking it apart, cleaning it, and re-greasing it.
Yep.
And you just have to do it. It's just part of running an off-road car in a dirty environment. And even on-road cars. No?
Even more with on-road cars. Yeah.
Because you get all grit and sand. And
yeah, it seems to be like a finer grit that you get in there. Whereas when you run them off-road, you get a bit of crap around the outside, and that doesn't generally go in any further. And it's, you blow it or something like that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. A lot of people use compressed air on their cars, and I'm not a fan. I don't know. What's your stance on compressed air?
Oh, as long as you're aware of what you're actually doing with the compressed air, yeah.
A lot of people.
I'm all for it.
A lot of people will just
hit it, wet it, not worry about
everywhere, huh? In the bearings, in the drive shafts, the whole box and dice will be air dried. I'm not really happy with how this pin's sitting either.
You've gone in too far with your grub screw?
Well, I could have, but just can't get it. Here we go. There's a tight balance between getting the grub screw done enough so it can actually sit in the drive shaft, because you don't want to be starting it, because you've got a good chance of stripping the thread, putting it in cross-threaded. Give it a bit of a wipe off. I'm happy with that. Now, because these aren't retained in the bearings, like a lot of the modern ones, the bearings will come right up to over here and retain them.
Cover them, yeah.
So sometimes on something like that, I can even put a bit of heat shrink or something on there.
That's an old school trick. Heat shrink, and you let it go over the edge of it and protects a little bit of it.
Protects a little bit of it, and that ensures that your pin doesn't come out, because they will work themselves loose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Suspension arms.
This is odd. What was that sigh for?
Yes, because...
Hey, two-piece suspension arms.
Suspension arms.
How cool is that? That is so Tamiya.
Not very cool, but I think it's maybe in one of your bags.
There you go. That looks like them. And you know what this... I hate to say it. You know what this is relevant to me? My MO3.
Yeah. From about the same era, I think. Maybe the MO3 was a newer.
Yeah, I don't know, but we raced them a lot later.
Yeah.
We did definitely race them a lot later, and it's the mini chassis, and they had two-piece arms. Can't remember the MO5.
Yeah.
That's how sentimental the MO5 was.
Yeah, that was a good car, the MO5.
It was. With the funky servo at the back, no? MO7. Mini's coming back, I hear. Word on the street.
Is it?
Oh, word on the street. Can't confirm nor deny. You heard it here first. Why would they use a two-piece arm?
I have no idea. Other than maybe it was easier to mould a two-piece arm.
I think it's definitely easier to mould. No? And to get strength, you got screws running through it.
Couldn't tell you. Now there's another typical example where you don't throw anything out.
What have you got there, Lewis?
Part sprue. There's a servo mount.
You reckon it's a servo mount?
Yeah, I'm just going to take that off now
before we lose it.
Before we lose it. Again.
We don't lose things.
Bag. Yep.
Now this is where you want to pay attention to your flashings and forth, because you want to make sure that these arms marry up. That's actually quite a flexible polymer that they've used for this, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you'll notice with a lot of tamiyas that the part sprues, every one's like a different composite polymer, isn't it? So they use a specific plastic for the arms, for the servo saber.
Well, if you think of tamiya, the history of tamiya, you know, the model kits was a big thing, and not just scale model kits, more than remote control car.
Oh, for sure.
They were making them way before they did remote control cars, so you understand it's a reason that that's the sort of thing. But they specialise in, yeah. So there you go. That'll be a front arm, and this will be a rear arm.
And I think it actually took somebody like, Lossy and the manufacturing to really shake up the injection moulding that we use in RC cars.
Yeah.
You know, whether you liked it or hated it, that was all new, wasn't it? They all new injection moulding and stuff, and it was quite brilliant in many ways.
They had big leaps and bounds when Lossy took over.
Wasn't it?
Pilot, yeah.
I'm not sure what their injection moulding's like these days, but back then, that was phenomenal.
And the different materials that they used as well.
What screws do we need there, young Lewis? Oh, 3x20, nice big ones. We got our scale. I feel it. Is that the one? You happy with that?
I reckon.
They're only going to be in 2 mil increments, so we're going to need 4 of them. So how about I take 2, and you take 2, and we meet up somewhere in the middle. Now we don't need to put the hub on now, that can go on after.
Last, yep.
So which arm am I doing?
So you're doing rear, so
that's a front.
They're actually fronts.
This is a rear.
That's a rear.
And the screw goes in the recess side like so. Like so. Got my trusty old Tamiya screwdriver here. Up she goes.
Yeah.
Now I suppose there's a lot of tips and tricks for these, isn't there?
Put the screws in and don't over tighten them.
Put the screws in, don't over tighten them. Which would be... And you could probably go as far as to like, I don't know, what, would you epoxy them together? Would you reinforce them in any way?
I can't remember doing anything to them, to be honest.
No?
Yeah, just put them together. Like, I can't even remember breaking one.
You're not going to break that in a hurry.
No.
You're probably going to strip the shock end out the bottom.
Yeah.
But even then, you could put an 85mm screw through and come right through the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Simpler times. Now these are screws that you probably want to check after you've run the car for the first couple batteries, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because these things are going to bed and seat a little bit, aren't they?
Definitely.
What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Just to make sure that it's all nice and tight.
I'm only just sort of squeezing it up. I'm not trying to... It's only a 3mm machine thread, so it doesn't have heat to purchase. Do you know a car that's got really tight threads? No, a HB. You should build one of those suckers. You really need to hand tap all the threads, they're that tight. Ooh. And again, perfect case in point, you've come to another, and I can just hear the way that it dropped on the table, that plastic is a lot
thicker.
I want to call it...
That's the same.
I want to call it more rigid.
Rigid, yeah. You compare it to this. Like just so you can see what Brett's talking about.
Yeah, so that's the whole screw.
That's a whole screw. Whereas if I try to do that with this one,
no chance.
There's no chance.
No. That's a way more rigid.
A rigid sprue.
Rigid sprue.
Never heard of him.
I don't know, sounds like a weirdo.
Alright.
Wonder what they call
the reason I got this out is because the next step is the rear hubs.
Rear hubs?
I'll zoom the camera out, Brett.
Zoom it out. can see more what's going on. Here you go. The blue mat of fury. Give us a look here. So these are the rear suspension hubs.
Yep.
Now there's left and there's right.
Yep.
I'm only assuming that there's no toe or anything built into this car. And like I said, it's only a gross assumption, but there could well be. Back then, no.
No toe in.
No toe in on the rear at all?
Nope.
That's probably why the car steered like an absolute demon.
So if you look at...
Looking. Oh, we got my favourite thing. More E-clips.
Yeah. So 3 holes to the back and the cutout. These go like this.
So that is left.
That'll be a left. And this
That's a left.
And this would be a right.
Alright. So we've got a bit of a hinge pin. How good's the finish on these hinge pins, by the way?
Pretty good.
No?
No polishing them.
You don't need to polish them at all, do you?
Nope.
I am secretly impressed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of manufacturers these days just don't pay attention to things like that.
No. And here's another little
tidbit.
To me, a Top Force thing. So the Top Force Evolution had hinge pins.
Yep.
The original Top Force just had a Phillips head screw with a...
They did, didn't they?
Yeah, and I've actually got here a... It's not a Terra Scorcher, I think this is. Which is very, very similar to the original Top Force. And if you were to pull a wheel off this... Look at that.
Doing a 7mm?
Yeah, give me a 7mm.
There you go, mate. Now, E-clips.
Yeah, you can see that this one doesn't run any E-clips, it's just got the screw. Screw with a hinge pin going through.
And they just have the thread at the end, don't
Thread
they?
at the end, threads into the plastic, yeah.
That's very similar to my comical. My comical runs that sort of system. How much fun are they? Hey, they got 2-piece arms too.
They have, it's exactly
Thinking there.
exactly the same.
That would be the last time I built one. Built a few of those suckers.
You probably
out
find
there.
a few comical parts would be the same as the Top Force parts.
Just not as fun.
Yeah.
I'll go quiet when I do this.
Yeah?
Because last thing I want to do is start firing these around the room. Wouldn't be the first time I've lost an E-clip.
A silver hinge pin on a silver floor. Silver E-clip. Even harder.
That's right. So I like to get it started, sit it in the groove, and you can feel it go in, like so. Come over the top, straight on.
Get on there.
There you go. Click. And nothing as sweet as this one goes click.
No.
You know?
Right, now comes
Oh.
this one. I'm going to test you.
This one?
So what I would probably do is put
Put this one on
an
first.
E-clip on first.
Yep. And if you've got big calluses, you can just put it on with your finger, hey? Is that what you're going to do? Put it on the bench?
Well, I don't have big calluses.
Oh, come on, mate. Dun, 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 dun. Got some bearings, gotta go in. Oh, we're on the next page. Next page, turn the page.
You put the hinge pins on the gearbox, I reckon. Right, I'll pinch your pliers.
You can do that. Kapow!
He's putting up a fight, Brett.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's twice today.
Yeah, I know, but
Eh? As people start talking. People start talking. Do. That is nice. Thank you, Lewis. Look at that. Give it a little spin. Beautiful. Tone. I'm so impressed with these.
yeah, cool.
Now the shocks face backwards.
Yeah.
That's me talking to myself.
Yeah, the 3 holes go to the back.
And then, like so, last thing I'm going to be doing is shooting E-clips around the motor.
Yeah,
Hey?
that's what you're going to have to do.
I love a challenge. What's your favourite bit about this? getting it stuck in the motor. I'm actually going to... I'm just going to overcomplicate things and put a rag here because I'm dead scared that I'm going to shoot one off and straight into the motor can. Hey?
That helps with the braking. The Mabuchi needs to have a couple of like screws and washers and stuff inside just to loosen up nicely.
Not just Coke or Fanta or...
Nah, well...
Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is a good one.
No,
Red
Fanta's got some special acid that I'm sure you could get Aaron Defini in here to elaborate upon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A special acid, hey?
Yeah. We're running in 540s.
Is it... That would have been back before Spartamine too, I bet. So... This is quite a challenge. I'm going to be honest.
It's the way you hold your tongue.
It is, isn't it? Gone all quiet now. This is exactly why I've got that rag there. Ah!
There you go. Straight in.
Straight in.
There you go. And you got one more
I was pretty happy with that. I was a bit stressed.
Lucky we got some spares.
Have we?
Yeah.
We could have had spares of the other ones.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. Wait till we do the shocks. These have probably got E-clips in the shocks too, haven't they?
Yep.
How good is that? E-clips on the shocks. Just trying to get this one started. I can't get it. Aha. It's not exactly riveting TV, but
we can edit this.
We have to. People talk, Lewis. Look at this Neanderthal.
That's what I said. Yeah, maybe do up the screw on the back of the arm. You haven't done it enough. The arm's probably too wide.
I'm gonna beat it into submission.
No, you're right. You got it. Just give it a half a turn.
You're right. I was a bit ginger. Yeah, look at that.
There you go. So?
I was a bit ginger with the arm screw. Oh!
Look at that shit.
I'm impressed.
So tell me those self tappers aren't the ones that hold the. They are.
That's good, isn't it? Why would you put a self tapper?
Oh, I don't know.
Why would they do that?
It's beyond
cheap,
me.
easy.
Alright, so
we need some bearings.
Edit. Alright, so we've got those arms on now, Brett. And I would assume now that we would be putting the drive shafts in, sure enough.
Yes, we're going to put the drive shafts in.
Okay, so you got a couple of bearings there?
I've got 2 bearings here.
Yeah, so they're not worried about the outside ones, just for you for now.
Do you know what building a Tamiya kit taught me?
Patience.
Putting body clips through stub axles.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep, stop stuff from falling out.
Yeah, until you put the wheels on in the last step.
Yep.
How good's that? You know, the big body clips?
Not bad.
That is something that I will take away from them forever.
One side?
Thank you. Which side, left or right?
It doesn't matter.
Ambidextrous?
Yeah.
Okay, put this in. I'm going to put our camber link on.
Yep, and for that you'll need this screw.
A little bit disappointed in this screw, but you know what?
Going from the back, mate.
Going from the back?
Yeah.
Story of my life. Here we go. Got drive shafts falling out. I've got camber links everywhere. It's a good day. Got a little bit of lube on the screw. Just want to ensure that we're on fire, so to speak. Like so. Oh, can you feel it? Don't go quiet on me.
I'm just watching.
Watch and learn. Watch and learn. What is your favourite part of the Top Force build? Do you like the shocks? Do you like the ball diff?
I reckon when you put the body on at the end,
oh,
once
really?
you got the chassis all finished.
It's not wiring up.
It's a sense of achievement, yeah.
Okay, so what about if I ask you this way? What's your least favourite part? of a build. It doesn't have to be a Top Force build, but any RC build.
Turnbuckles. I reckon turnbuckles are the most tedious, time-consuming, unrewarding task.
Yeah. Sometimes I dislike wiring.
No, I like.
Do you know what I mean?
Wiring's good fun.
But yeah.
One to me, a Top Force rear end, and as I was getting back to saying before, 2 screws here.
Yep.
2 screws here, and you just pull that clean off the back of the car.
And service it. Change the motor.
Yeah.
It's probably easy to do the motor that way.
But if you had to service the diff or the gears inside or pull the motor out, I mean,
How
you
do you
can
get the motor out? Oh yeah, fairly easy.
Straight out. So yeah, there you go.
Fantastic.
Now this gets back to what I was saying to you. Sometimes I like to just rush through stuff because it's already on the bench. This is a typical example.
Do you know what we don't have to do?
Put the front diff together.
We don't have to put the front diff together.
Because we've already done it.
So now...
So we'll move this somewhere that's...
Modular build.
Modular build, yeah.
Nothing's safe with me around, mate. Okay. Alright, so front diff is built. Where's the front gearbox casing, my friend?
Here it is. Okay, so where we have on this spark sprue, we have a front gearbox.
Yep.
We have a front diff cover.
And I've got to say, even for back then, the moulding and the tooling is actually really nice, no? And I suppose that's why Tamiya is ahead of the game in that regard, because like you
they had the experience, yeah.
They had the experience with the scale model plastic kits and the precision that they require. But that is really cool.
And this is parts that don't get used. So this is an original tower for like the Terra Scorcher,
Manta
Ray,
plastic cars. Yep. Can we call them plastic cars?
The plastic cars.
And that's because it had a plastic tub chassis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the most... And that is probably like 75% of the Tamiya range has a plastic tub chassis.
So the basic Tamiya...
That's what they're known for.
Version of these had the plastic front shock tower like that. That one that I've got here.
Here's one you built earlier. Where did you get that from?
eBay.
Are you going to run it? Have you run it?
No, I haven't run it, but I will run it. This is very, very similar to the first one of these cars that I actually drove that led me to go for the Top Force.
Yep.
This one came a little bit longer down the track, but it's literally the same car. This car, if I took the body and the wing off it, it'd be the same.
These are Proline Road Hogs.
They were. Do you remember them?
I do remember them. I had them on a F1. Do you remember the Ultimate F1s?
Yeah.
And we used to play them in the car park, and I had those F1 Hogs.
Yeah.
They were actually pretty good, weren't they?
Yeah. So this is the same as a Manta Ray. Just plastic fantastic.
But you know what? For 90% of the punters who are not going to race competitive or got no interest in it, that's fine. It'll do the same job as far as they're concerned.
Yeah.
All right.
So
put me a box together, my friend.
Right. So this one's simple. Same as before. We needed to make sure that this is facing the right direction. For the same reason.
I'm going to come out of it so we can see what's going on.
Yeah. So we're going to put the front diff into the front gearbox housing. Again, we're going to make sure that it's faced the right way. You can see...
Otherwise, we've only got half the gear mesh, haven't we?
Yeah, half a gear mesh. So right way is that way.
Snap fit.
That's in.
We got it?
Yep.
Got the gear in there. Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Really nice bearings, huh?
Yeah, nice bearings.
I'm impressed. A lot of kits these days, they just don't pay enough attention to the small details.
They chip out. Okay, we're going to use this shaft here.
What shaft you got? Hollow one.
A hollow shaft.
Racing
shaft.
I'm impressed by that. It's those little touches that have carried on from the previous generation.
Yeah.
And these were all the differences that made it like not just a run-of-the-mill.
Now for this front gearbox housing, because it's exposed a lot to any time if you're going to nosedive a car or anything like that happens, you can get some dirt that goes inside here.
Yep.
So what I like to do with that one is just
form like a little gasket, huh?
Make a little gasket with a bit of like ball dip grease.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be like a heap, just like a little smear is probably enough.
Right, so when you're gonna dart the nose into something, it's just gonna like jam
ideally
it in
you
there,
don't, but it just stops any dirt or the fine dust from getting inside there and
destroying
making
the whole
a mess
show.
of your nice beautiful gears. we just offer that up like this.
Gonna need some screws, Lewis. What screws are we gonna need?
Done. Okay, what bag do we need?
3x10s.
3x10s, fancy that. Okay.
Gonna need 1,
We're
2,
gonna go this way
3,
this time.
4. Yeah?
We'll shake it up a bit.
Shake it up. I like it. Shaking it instead. Oh, look at that. I don't know that it's as neat, I'll be honest. I'm a bit perplexed why you would do that to me. You know that I'm upset.
Not just testing it, just throwing a different one.
You know what? That's the best way to learn, isn't it? You can pick up new things all the time. I can't remember the last time I actually built a kit.
And I learned a Tamiya Top Force.
And
Evo.
I didn't actually learn something.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it's a great thing about RC, isn't it? I don't know. It's always learning.
The mechanics.
Challenging. But yeah, never done a Top Force Evo. And it's an absolute pleasure to be doing one with you, I'll be honest. It's like a childhood dream.
They're pretty cool, aren't they?
Huh? I can't wait to see your one go on the track. It's a bit of hype
They
around
make a
it.
distinctive sound.
Does it?
Yes.
I've got an on-road car that sort of sounds a little bit like a coffee grinder at the moment. Those phases, as good as they are, they're not the most refined sounding on-road car. And I'm tipping that this is somewhat similar, no? Bit of gear on gear action. Look at that.
Yeah, nice and free still. Beautiful. Alright. Now,
What are we into?
this bad guy goes here,
Yep.
and this is the one that gives the drive to the rear.
Yep.
So it goes like that there. So you supported the bearing, supports the gear.
Mm-hmm. Is it supported both ends?
This is a little bit finicky, yeah. It's got a little bearing on the end. So we need to push the bearings towards each other. Now, this gear here,
Does a lot of work.
yes, but this is for constant four-wheel drive.
Yep.
Now, I noticed in the kit, they also give you this guy here, which has actually got a one-way on it.
Is there a one-way in the
yes,
kit?
so somewhere amongst all this stuff, there should be a different one of these that's actually got a hex inside it. This is, I don't believe this is it.
Oh, here.
Yep, a two-part, see?
They give a one-way drive.
A one-way drive, because back in the day,
Is that what they had back in the old kits?
we all had one-ways on the front. So this is an option here. Nowadays, we probably wouldn't use it, because it sort of takes away the braking from it. But I think for
I think
the
for...
30-year anniversary model, we should build it with a one-way.
I think we should. No?
Yeah.
I think it makes it a little bit special.
Yeah.
A little bit more of a tribute. I'm sure your one had a one-way in it in the day.
It did in the day, but it doesn't now.
Well, we don't have to worry about runtime or horsepower now.
No, it wasn't more. It was more about steering off power. I
Yeah?
guess, yeah.
Would give it more,
Yeah.
but at the same time your braking capabilities are reduced
Or,
by
yeah,
more than
a zero,
half
a
because you're just like handbrake turning everywhere, weren't you?
Yeah. Okay, so then it goes in there like that.
I never realised that they had a one-way.
Yeah, how cool.
And that's... Did they have that in the original kit?
Yeah, the
Did
Top
they?
Force Evolution, yeah.
Did have a one-way in it?
Yeah, now, there should be a direction for this. See, it's got like a little mark on it.
Yep.
So that little
the
mark
way.
goes away from the gear.
Yep.
So away from the gear,
Towards this one.
towards the little one.
How cool is that? I'm super impressed. That is probably the most impressive thing I've...
You didn't know that they had
I
one
didn't
way.
know that they ever had a one-way like that.
Yeah, so we'll put some. So you see when it's going that way, if the diff's freewheeling.
So does that need the plastic caps on that gear?
It doesn't use them because
Doesn't
these
use
bearings are the same size. See?
Yeah. No, I can... Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. I'll put this one away.
Yeah.
Safe and sound.
Yeah. So you can see now, if the diff's going forward on its own, there's no drive. But then if the gears are trying to move this forward,
Yep.
Then we get drive. So no drive, drive. One-way bearing.
Exactly what a one-way bearing is. Gee, they were temperamental suckers, weren't they?
Sometimes, yeah. And we're not going to talk about tamiya one-way bearings.
No.
Because we're in 2022, so I guarantee you the quality control is much, much better now. And I'm going to do the same thing here.
But yeah, one-way bearings, they were... Last time I had them, mate, was my old NTC3 factory edition nitro.
M3 by 10. Am I right?
M3 by 10. Free for free. Yep.
There you go. How good's that? Nearly every screw's the same size.
It's handy, isn't it?
Yep.
If only cars were built like that now. Well, I suppose a lot of them are. Most of the cars are... I don't know about your cars, but our cars are all mainly 3x8 countersunks. And I think that we should take the opportunity to close this episode off. What do you think?
Front gearbox build, yeah.
Front gearbox build?
Yeah.
And then we'll get to working on... Because the front shock tower is going to be pretty special.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're probably going to have to dedicate a big part of that.
There's a special front shock tower.
Yeah, and I get pretty excited, don't I? Okay?
You love it.
I do. It's good after this show, means I can go and have a shave. Fantastic, guys. Alright, so that is episode 2 of our Tamiya Top Force Lewis Solar build. Yeah?
How does that feel?
Feels pretty good, I think. I don't know, one way feels a bit funky, but I mean, it's always going to, isn't it?
You just got to get your head around it.
Yeah, you don't know which way is forward and backwards. And it's going to feel cool in the car, though. We'll be able to demonstrate it when it goes together and the wheels are on.
Yeah, very good.
Fantastic, guys. That is episode 2 of the build. Thanks for watching, and join us as we take on episode 3 and the front moustache. Alright, guys. I'm Brett from Hearns, and this is Lewis Solar. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.